Pawn f3. Truly a deliciously stinky opening move from Carlsen, the world number one. And sometimes after a long Friday, long week at work, you just gotta sit back and enjoy Magnus Carpal spanking a FIDE master by the name of Felix. 28 moves here, it really is brutal. Breaking every rule in this titled Tuesday game and yet winning mercilessly. Fine, this is normal. He does push a central pawn. This is looking slightly weird, but we'll run with it. It's online chess after all. Blitz chess, titled Tuesday game. Did I just say that? Probably. Been a long week, like I said. And surely you cover the centre with a pawn. Not our Magnus here. He ploughs on with pawn to e4, a very double-edged move. Now the idea is if you take here, so for example, actually we see it in the game, let's not do that. But if you take here, well then you push with d5 and you discombobulate the knight, then you set up the big white centre. White's doing well, which we can visually see. So in the game, takes on d4, hits the knight, but this is the point. You do restore the material, however, you get kicked from pillar to post. Watch this one go on the journey. Knight f6 first. This is really not a bishop to write home about. Just staring at some pawns there, and after check, surely everyone and his chess dog is playing bishop d2. It's just the move, right? You swap the bishops, maybe you get a bit of castle's queenside action going, but Magnus plays king f1. Disrespect levels through the roof over here. How's he going to get away with this one? Because black now has the opportunity to erect that BBC, that's big black centre in chess speak, kick back this knight. It's just moved 4 times in the first 9 moves. This structure's horrendous for the bishop. The king can't castle here. I mean, surely after pawn h6, you get your bits out. But no, Magnus just compounds his opening issues here with pawn to h4, ploughing boldly forth where no h-pawn has ploughed before. We see this bishop develop here. Now he puts the knight on the edge of the board, usually an atrociously stinky square, because where are you headed from there? It's a real boo-boo, but this is what he's got planned. Heading back in with the king here, we get the 0-0-0, super aggressive. Magnus chases back this bishop, and it could go to many different squares, and black remains better. You know, you've got the centre, you've got the terrible king, the pieces stumbling over each other. Black chooses this one. It really becomes an MVP very soon, but first, before you can say three-armed Magnus giving Hans Niemann his Bezzy, according to AI, a big hug, he takes some space. And you could just calmly play king b8 here, but Felix plays the very enterprising and daring pawn to g5, just launching Gary down the board there, sacrificing him. Understandable. There are many Garys now disappearing. In Britain, they're due to disappear by 2050. If you're about to have a kid, name him Gary, please. Do it for the name's sake. But here's the point. Here's what Felix has got planned. Here's why he sacrificed the pawn. Can you find the epic move? It's knight g4. A brilliancy. A thunderbolt. Is Felix going to leave Magnus licking his wounds? We shall see. Do not take this bishop, because then this knight hops with check. You lose your queen. There are even lines where you ignore the queen and you just go for checkmating attacks down here or down here. So Magnus instead takes the knight, of course, but he loses his dark squared bishop. So black's now got the bishop bear as well, just for good measure, pouring fuel on the fire of the cardinal opening sins that Magnus has committed. Is headed for this square here, so Magnus rotates. Okay, finally a bit of play going in his direction. He's got some outposts to head those knights to. Now the best move for black is again the very quiet king b8. Knight e7 also decent, makes a ton of sense. Headed for g6, maybe f4. You just have to take that second to improve the position. Sure, Hikari would have found that, but bishop f4 does look natural. But now queen f3, you cover the knight, you're okay. King b8, still apparently best, or even bishop g5. Now if you're playing bishop g5, that's when you know you've made an inaccuracy the move before, you're wasting time, but queen e7 is not the one. It looks so natural. Heading out here, of course, looking to invade, although the knights do a good job holding h1, but there's a problem, and it's this very natural move. You hit the outpost, you hit the queen, and you cover this square, so you can't immediately invade. Now what should you do? Well, actually just keep the queen on the board like this, or even to c7, but f6 looks a bit more natural. Don't actually take here, but in the game we do see bishop takes on f5. Now the problem with this move is you've given up your bishops. How to recapture? Well, e takes, of course. You really need to take a good hard look at yourself in the mirror if you would have captured with the g-pawn. You need this square for the knight, and this is the problem. White is getting some initiative here. Yes, queen h4 comes, but it's not even scary because there's no invasion here. There's a bit of pressure, but king e2. All is well in the world on the f2 square, and the knight actually now supports a rook swing. And you can head here. So we see bishop e3. Sure, this is now Pope D III, promoted from a bishop. It's that much of a great piece. But after rook h1, the queen's got to back all the way up. You also could have headed to f6, but maybe then you run into f6, I'm not sure, or g5, not sure. Anyway, this was the better square. Takes, queen recaptures here. And you could immediately plant the knight on the outpost, but Magnus, true to his style, plays queen h3, offering that exchange. We hear a few of his biggest fans bleating away. He's the GOAT of the endgame. Declined, probably a wise move. Who wants to grind with the queen's not on the board? Knight e4 now, of course. And I'm sad to report that the game does end here in 28 moves. Because the fork is missed. Knight e7, but wham, bam, slam. Doesn't take a world champion to spot that one. We see resigns on the spot. The queen's dropping, of course, after the king moves away from the check. Pure disrespect from Magnus, but he gets the job done. Just a short and sweet one tonight. Hope you enjoyed. Smash subscribe if you did, and have a look at the video on screen if you want to see another epic game of chess. Cheers.